Hello, and welcome back to the Hometown Business Podcast. I am your host, Autumn Dell, and we haven't been here in a while. I haven't been around because I gotta tell you, just to be honest, I have struggled finding people to interview and keeping everything rolling along with my business. A lot of you know I own a cleaning business, and just keeping all those balls rolling. But I have a virtual assistant now, and she is helping me get podcast guests and holding me accountable. And I have time blocked out in my week. So no more excuses. I'm going to keep doing this. But I am really excited about today's guest. Her name is Miss Rebekah Black, and she is the founder of a nonprofit organization called Jambos Donates. Is it Jambos or just Jambos Donates?
Jambos. Yeah.
Jambos. Awesome.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I first heard about Jambos because my church last Christmas, we did a big drive for pajamas, which I don't want to get ahead of myself. I want her to just be able to explain it all to you. But I was intrigued, and I thought, you know what, that would be an awesome conversation to have on the podcast. Just letting her hear or share her story. So welcome, Miss Rebekah. Glad to have you. She is super passionate about Jambos and about what they do. And she told me that given the opportunity, she'll just be able to talk and talk and talk. So I'm really just going to let her take it over and share how it started and what they do and where it's going. Whatever she feels led to share, she is going to share with you.
You shouldn't give me a microphone and walk away. That's terrifying.
We'll
get through this. Well, I am really, really excited to be here. So thank you for having me and inviting me, and good job getting the assistant. You did it. Delegating things off, and look at you growing.
I'm telling you, if anybody has doubts, just do it because she's phenomenal.
That's right. So, well, I'm really excited. So thanks for having me. Any opportunity, like you said, any opportunity to shed light on what we do as an organization, the kids we serve as an organization, and then opportunity for our community to rally around kids in foster care. I'll take any opportunity to talk about it. So I'm not going to bore you to tears or anything, but I'll give you some context. For who we are. Yeah. I'll give you some context for who we are, what we do, and why we do it. So, you did a great job, articulating a little bit of our mission. I'm really.
Oh, thank you. I was looking over your website to make sure I had it.
You did your homework before. Proud of you. So like I said, I'm Rebekah. I founded Jambos. We're a 501c3 located in Beaufort, Georgia. We are about 3 years old. About 3.5, 4 years ago, I had this press to leave my career that I was thriving in. I loved what I was doing, but I just knew that there was a call in my life to serve kids in foster care and bring comfort to the journey of the children that are transitioning from home to home to home. And so as an organization, our name is Jambos. We provide brand new pajamas to kids in foster care. And after doing a little bit of digging, a lot of research, a lot of conversations, we found that pajamas are a huge need for children who are journeying through the foster care system. And so we have made it as easy as humanly possible for our community to rally around thousands of kids in the foster care system and provide them with brand new pajamas. So the concept is so simple, but the impact is so great. So just to paint a picture for you and for the audience listening, a lot of times, most times when kids are being transitioned from their current living situation into a new foster family for their safety, that transition is very abrupt. And you can imagine, I don't know how many moms and dads are listening, but when you think about sending your child to overnight for a sleepover or overnight to grandma's house, you're going to prepare them a little bag. You're going to have them the things that they need. Well, because the abrupt fast-paced transition happens so quickly, these kids are moving from point A to point B with very few of their own belongings. We have stories with foster families who will tell us we received a child on our doorstep at 10:30 at night with a bicycle. And when we heard that, it was like we were immediately called to action. I know that my team, our volunteers, myself, it was like, all right, we definitely want to bring comfort and a practical resource to the kids journeying through care. So the goal initially was for us to serve 843 kids. That was the number that the Department of Family and Child Services in Gwinnett County had told me. And this was, again, years ago. So that number has fluctuated since, but that was the number. And I said, well, that's a lot of kids. That's almost 1,000 kids. Like, what are we doing? So I reached out to my small group at church and just said, ladies, like instead of doing a Christmas, gift exchange, what if we just gave back to the foster community, like gave back to kids in foster care? And there were multiple small groups meeting at the time, and it just kind of took off. A friend of mine made a flyer. I had no experience doing this. I just was like, sure, I'll try it. And about 223 pairs of pajamas later, this entire concept blew up. And I remember sitting across from a table with a meeting with one of my mentors, and she said to me, Rebekah, what are you going to do when this works?
Oh, gosh.
And I looked at her with like fear on my face, and I was like, I don't have any freaking clue. Like, what do you mean? What am I going to do? I have no idea. And she was like, well, you might want to get a plan, because I believe that this is going to work. And so I just started asking, and people who had donated pajamas, they started contacting me, and my phone started ringing, and minor league baseball teams are calling and wanting and returning phone calls and wanting to be a part, and the professional hockey team is like, can we do a pajama drive? And I'm sitting here going, we're not even a real business yet. What do you mean? Sure, yes, you can. And so in our first year, that 843 number, that goal turned into us serving over 5,000 kids. And then the next year was the global pandemic. And it was wild. Like in our first 2 years, we served over 11,000 kids. And we were just bleeding into, we did the math literally right before this phone call. And as of 2020, we were in 10 states and 5 countries. And I know. And that all started in my living room. Like my kids and I had to move 1,000 pairs of pajamas to put our Christmas tree up one year. It was like, move these out of the way. Like we got to get these out, And so now here we are. We, like I said, we are officially a 501c3. We are serving multiple states. We're hosting pajamas drives all over the country. We're pushing pajamas internationally. And it's all been really neat to watch. It's all been fueled by the community. This has been neat to see the community love on these kids. So
that's awesome. Okay. So, and I know you said like people just started calling and kind of helping. Like, how did you I would think if I tried to do something like that, I'd be like, I have no idea how to get in contact with the foster care system,
the thing that's so interesting. No, literally, I had no in with the foster community. It wasn't like I've always volunteered with DFACS or what. I wasn't rescued for a foster family. I had no in. It was literally me picking up the phone, knocking on doors, sending emails constantly. And the thing that it is, I think the reason it's so received is because that product that we create, that we're giving them, is so needed. And so the minute they hear, I have 400 pairs of pajamas to give you, these agencies and foster and DFACS and caseworkers are like, yes, we'll take them. We need it.
Yeah.
And so because what we give them and the resource we give them is so practical, I think that's why we're so received.
Right. And so easy to do, you're not asking for something that costs hundreds of dollars from people. You're asking for a pair of pajamas, Right.
And that's a big part of our culture. I'm a single mom. I have 3 kids. I always want my kids to give back to the community. I've always wanted them to volunteer in some way. I know the pressures of wanting to give big, but not necessarily having the funding or the resources personally to make a big splash.
Right.
And it's my heart and our organization's heart that anybody can do this. One pair of pajamas, I mean, you can find them at the dollar store for $2 and $3. Like you can find that in the floorboard of your car, like, we can do this together. And so that's been the ask, and that's been the invite is, kindergarten kids are doing this all the way up to the Atlanta Braves. Like you're invited to be part. And so we've made it as easy as humanly possible to make an impact. Yeah.
Yeah. That's awesome. So is it systematized now? You said you're in all these different states.
Yeah. So yes, it has definitely, we have quite the operation going now. Last year we collected around 16,000 pairs of pajamas, basically in 1 month. December was, the whole year was shut down because of COVID, right? And we had a goal of 15,000 pairs of pajamas at the front of 2020. Well, then the entire world shuts down. All of our pajama drives canceled because we're hosting them in schools, churches, businesses. Nobody's
Right.
going anywhere. And we're thinking, how in the world are we going to get creative enough to do this? And 12 Stone Church, which is a mega church here in the Atlanta area, they hosted
Uh-huh.
a pajama drive and collected, I believe it was right at 14,000 pairs of pajamas. And then we had 23 other donation sites happening in the month of December. So we brought in, it was nearly 16, 17,000 pair. I should have that number like right in front of me, but I don't.
Yeah.
But at any rate, it's all a massive system. So business owners out there, entrepreneurs out there, when you are building your team, you've got to find somebody who's better at the stuff you're bad at.
Yeah.
So I have our ops director. I have an amazing business partner. Like she is seriously everything I'm not. Her name is Mallory. She's a COO, and she is, on staff with Jambos. Like she is all things, lines, rows, columns. She sees details that I don't even think of. And she has created quite the system. There's everything from barcodes to SKUs to inventory distribution. Like she's
awesome.
a well-oiled machine. I don't think like that. I'm over here like throwing glitter, trying on the pajamas when they come in. I'm like, these have llamas on them. Like, I'm so happy to like, and she's like, Rebekah, we have to count those. We need to know it. And I'm like, yeah, I want to just make social media posts and talk about Jambos all the time.
Yeah.
And she does a great job of keeping my feet on the ground.
Yeah. That's funny.
So,
okay. Well, one question I did have for you. Okay. You said you weren't in, like, it's not like you were a foster parent or respite. What was the draw to foster care? Like what got you there?
It's so funny because, I come from a sales and marketing background. I was in retail for many years. I was super successful. I could sell you your own hair off your head. Like seriously, it was crazy. And
that is a good shirt.
Right? And it's like I could rip your shoes off your feet and sell them back to you. It was wild. But when I was 14 years old, I went to a mission trip in Kingston, Jamaica, and I served in a baby home, like an orphanage, and then also a teen, like troubled teens home, right? And my heart just started beating for kids in that transitional. They're wanting to belong. That really. I don't use heartbreak language. I use heartbeat language because my heart really started beating, which I wanted to take action, but I didn't know how. I remember coming back from that trip, and for anybody that's ever gone on like a mission trip or a give back trip to the community, you always kind of come back with this high of like, I'm going to change the world. Right. Well, it never died for me. Like I thought for sure this would go away and I would get to wear a pencil skirt and be like 6 figures girl. And like, you know what I mean? But it never went away. And I would lay in bed at night and be so like distraught. Like I was like, I'm doing a job I shouldn't be doing. I need to be serving kids in foster care. I need to be serving in the world. And I just became so passionate about it. So finally, I had gone to Kenya on a mission trip. I led 9 college girls to Kenya. And when I came back, I quit my job. And I said, I'm done doing, like, I surrendered my agenda. And I said, I'm trying to do something that is only fulfilling me. I wanted more than anything to give back, and I wanted to serve people and get in the trenches of like dark places with people and just remind them that God loves them, and you're not perfect and your circumstances aren't perfect, but you're loved and cared for. And so that's our heart, and that's what we do. Yeah,
that's so awesome. And using the skills you learned from like corporate America to make this impact here. I mean, you need them here too,
Yes. When I remember thinking to myself, when I quit my job, I was like, I want all of my career energy to go into Jambos. So I worked 5 jobs in 2018, I think it was. And I was like in the drive-through at Chick-fil-A. I worked at a gym. I sold skincare. I watched your kids, like not yours, but like I watch anybody's kids. I was trying to feed mine. But I go back now and as I'm, creating things like budget, when we're hiring, when we're doing, articles of incorporation, like I'm like, I learned all this. Like this reminds me of sales. Like I'm learning that those stepping stones along the way prepared me for where I am now. Yeah.
Oh, that's so cool. So how do like sponsors come to you, like business sponsors? Do they just come or do you market to them?
So we have two kind of different audiences that we're always kind of talking to. There are the people who want to host pajama drives and bring product in and inventory. And yes, obviously that's what we do. But there's another audience of people who I like to call them senders and doers. I'm a doer, but there are people out there who are blessed and generous, and God has really given them the sender ability. So they're, writing checks to sponsors and funding our organization. And then there are doers, there are volunteers, there are people who are wanting to roll the pajamas, deliver the pajamas. And there are oftentimes they'll blend, like, it's like, they're high level donors, or this corporation donated this amount of money and now they're also volunteering. But we are kind of having two conversations. It's, do you want to donate pajamas? Is maybe being a sender, is maybe being someone who financially supports our mission is a better fit for you? Then we're always having those conversations. And so we have been so fortunate. Our community is so unbelievably generous. Businesses have come alongside us everywhere from $500 to $25,000 and have completely funded our organization. So we are,
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's been really neat. So
that was my next question. Like, do you have to be a big business, or you guys do small businesses take part? That's
honestly
cool.
Our entire organization has been funded through small businesses. We have had a couple of elbow rubs with, the Braves, the Gwinnett Stripers came alongside us.
Yeah, I saw them on your website.
We've had a couple of those really cool opportunities, but honestly, again, it goes back to everybody can be a part of this. And if your business can donate $100 and that's your give back, then that matters to us. And so we're not just going after big wig Fortune 500 constantly pounding on the doors. We want the community to give back at their level. And that's really, really important to me. But it's also a really big piece of our culture as an organization. So we have people that donate $250 a year. We have people who have donated $25,000 in a year, or businesses. And so it's neat to see it kind of unfold. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Now, okay. So how would people get in contact with you if they either just wanted to follow you on social or think about donating and being a partner?
Yeah. So our website is fully functioning, so you can jump on jambosdonates.com. There are opportunities there for you to volunteer. There are opportunities for you to send pajamas, donate funds, and just kind of get a better feel for our story and our journey. You can follow us on social media, which is Jambos Donates. But I will say, if you want to follow me personally, it's Rebekah Black 101. You're welcome to jump on board. I never shut up about Jambos. It's really exhausting and awesome. But those three ways are amazing ways for you to gain more info and jump in.
Okay. Awesome. And I'll share those in the show notes so that everybody can find you. All right. One thing I always like to do at the end of the podcast is a quick little lightning round. So you weren't prepped on these questions. If you don't have answers, totally fine. But what books or podcasts, if you're more of a podcast listener, are you listening to or reading right now?
Okay. So, personally, I'm reading Becoming with Michelle Obama. And then that's just on the side. I went on a little vacation and read that. A book that has changed my entire thought process from small thinking to big thinking is The 10X Rule by Grant Cardone. I didn't realize I had such a scarcity mindset until I read that book. So I really recommend reading that. And there, what is that book? Atomic Habits, I think is the name of it. Yeah. That's on my next. That's what I'm reading next. So
that's on my list too.
Yeah. So
right now, thinking of money.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Do you Grant Cardone? My husband and I like to watch some business show, and he was
Undercover Billionaire.
Yes. And we just finished a few weeks ago. Yeah. Because I've always heard of Grant Cardone, but I haven't listened to it yet or anything. But that's good. I'm reading right now, The $1 Million Mindset. I think that's what it's called.
Yeah.
Because my money mindset, it is different, or it isn't where it needs to be. Just because I grew up.
I think that we can all get kind of stuck in a certain mindset. And until I always say, I call it the dark room concept. You don't know you're in a dark room till somebody walks in and flip the light on and you're like, oh,
right. Yeah.
You need those light bulb moments. So
Yeah.
great books. They just really motivated me to think bigger, set bigger goals, go after my dreams. And that's,
Yeah.
and I think that that's where a lot of people get stuck is you get a little paralyzed by your own excitement sometimes.
Yep, I agree. Okay, so what is your favorite local restaurant? Now you're in Beaufort, correct?
Yes, yes.
Is that where you live? Okay.
Mhm.
What's your favorite local restaurant to eat at?
Favorite local restaurant? Can I do two? Please let me do two.
Yes, yes,
Okay.
yes. Go do
Over
two.
the Top Burger Bar. Over the Top Burger Bar. They're a corporate sponsor of ours. They have the most insane burgers. Like seriously, they're like humongous. They're delicious. It's so yummy. Love, love, love Over the Top Burger. Like literally, they kept my family alive during the pandemic. Thank you. And then if you're wanting like a really great date night or wanting to go out with, cocktails or something with a friend, go to Bare Bones in Beaufort. Bare Bones. It's a steakhouse. Literally a game changer. It's a game changer.
Oh, that'd be good.
Mm-hmm.
My husband, we like steak, so
go there.
I've heard of Bare Bones. Is it a chain or is it a one restaurant?
It's locally owned, and so is
the
Top Burger. They're both locally owned. You're gonna love it.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Awesome. Well, I will put them on my list. Okay. And the last thing, is there something that I didn't ask that you kind of wish I had? Anything else that you have to add?
I will add this. There are over 420,000 kids in foster care in our country, and there is no shortage of need to provide comfort to them. And the invitation for you and your listeners to be a part of that is always open here. Your kids volunteering, you donating pajamas, donating funds. Those kids transitioning through care deserve to feel loved and they deserve to have practical, cozy, yummy jammies. And so the invitation is always open. And so jumping on and figuring out ways for you to be a part of what we're doing, like we can't wait for you to be a part of our family. Those kids, the 420,000 kids, they deserve to know they're cared for. And so you're invited. That's a big, big piece of our heart is like everybody is invited to be a part. Yep.
Yeah. And that's a good way. Like when you worded it, think of how you prepare your kids to go spend the night away. I mean, I prepare my kids. I'm like, it's okay. If you miss me, I'll be back in the morning, and these sometimes we need to get outside of ourselves and think like, that's just like my kid,
I know.
That's huge.
Our heart is really to be supportive of the case managers and social workers who are helping with the journey while we're serving the kids, but also keeping in mind that nobody wakes up one day hoping that their children, they lose custody of their kids. We're all broken people and everybody's making choices. And I always say, listen, everybody's about one decision away from blowing their life up. And so our heart also for biological parents, like nobody wakes up hoping to be in these circumstances, but life happens. And so it's a real passion of mine to be a support to all three parties, including, the foster family and the biological families. So there's no, like I said, there's no shortage of need for showing and bringing comfort to the entire situation. Our hearts specifically beat for the kids because we just want them to have a cozy night. That first night has to be terrifying. I can't imagine. So, yeah.
I know. I heard once how when there's not enough people to place them with, they'll go stay with a caseworker in the hotel. And caseworkers just rotate and they stay there. I can't imagine. My husband and we adopted one of our daughters.
Oh, cool. Okay.
Sorry, I'm breaking up a little bit.
No, you're okay.
No, you're good. We adopted her like 14 years ago, or not 14. She was 14. We adopted her about 10 years ago. And we've thought like, what could we do in the future? Because adopting, that was a lot of work, but I'm like foster care, that's what we've always kind of been like that we could do. There's a lot of needs out there.
My heart was to be a foster parent. I wanted to foster, but I'm a single mom. I have 3 kids and I didn't know in that season, like, is this really the best next step for me? And I think that so many people want to give or be a part of the foster community, but like jumping straight in and being a foster parent can feel like, wow, that's a lot. Like, let's be honest, right? So maybe, and I always joke, say we're kind of like the stairway to foster care, because it's like, once you donate pajamas, you got your feet in the water a little bit. It's like, hey, I learn a little more. Let me get a little more. And so just bringing awareness and opening the door to the foster community and giving some headspace of like, hey, this is what's really happening. We've had a handful of people say, hey, I donated pajamas and now I want to foster, or now I want to respite, or I do more. So we're just kind of that stairway to foster care. And we know our role here.
Well, you are doing a great job, and it's obviously made a huge impact. And like, I mean, it's a big deal. So I commend you on taking that step. And I mean, it's crazy, but so cool.
I know.
All right. Well, I am going to share all of your info, like your social and your website and stuff in the show notes, and people can hopefully follow along, because I've followed you on Instagram for a while and it's been fun. So
jump on board with us. So we're having a good time.
Well, thanks so much for coming on with us, and I hope you have a really great rest of your summer.
All right. Yeah, you too. So we'll be in touch, girl. Thank you so much for having us. Okay.
Yes, you're welcome.
Bye-bye.
All right. See you guys later.
This episode is sponsored by Get It Together Cleaning Services. We give you back your free time by taking cleaning off your to-do list. You can find us online at www.gitcleaning.com or message us on Facebook. Our handle there is @GITcleaning. Last but not least, if you enjoyed this interview and want to see more, make sure to subscribe to our channel. We have more great interviews lined up in the coming weeks.